Don't miss our review of some really awesome pre-painted terrain and 2D sets for your games on the tabletop.
Spiky bits.
What's up, hobby maniacs? Baer with you again today, taking a look at some dope offerings from Game Mat.eu. They've got a brand new lineup of pre-painted terrain, from the Gothic walls to the Gothic Temple, aka Indiana Jones style right here. And then they've got a really cool Gothic landing pad, and also some Gothic industrial landing pad and some industrial barriers as well. I didn't get the industrial barriers because I kind of have something like it already, but they are pretty fresh too and make a nice little defensive perimeter on your tabletop around the existing industrial terrain or this landing pad right here. But it's all great stuff. It's all very affordable. I mean, it's incredible value for what you get, shipped to your door, pre-painted from Europe. I mean, there literally isn't anybody out there that, in my opinion, that can match this. Now, if you want handcrafted stuff, that's a completely different story. But for awesome, pre-painted, mass-produced, tabletop terrain, plus awesome looking mats, I don't think there's anywhere else to go besides Gamemat.eu, in my opinion, of course. So let's take a closer look at all of these new products, talk about it a little bit, show you how good a quality they are and how much they'll cost you. So first out the chute is the Gothic Temple. Now you will probably notice right off the bat that this almost 100% matches the Gothic terrain set that is already existing, that goes, I think it's $150 for it. Pre-painted, awesome Gothic ruin kind of arch corners type deal. There's little pieces to stick into windows and things. You can obviously go over, check it out for yourself on Gamemat.eu's website. But this is themed to go along with that existing set of terrain. So it goes with a lot of different things. The terrain itself is $39. It comes pre-painted. It is going to ship out of Europe, so there is going to be a little bit of shipping cost there. Again, it comes quick. I get stuff from these guys quicker than I get it from California, so it's pretty crazy in and of itself right there. It's a cast resin material. You can tell it's got a little give to it, but you know, don't drop this stuff on the floor. Not that you would want to drop any of your models on the floor, but I guarantee you, regardless, it will probably smash, so don't go dropping your things on the floor. Overall, it's about 11 by 11 inches, about 5 inches or I would say 4.5 inches tall right there. It's got great looking styling. I mean, you can see there's all sorts of detail on the rocks right here. They even painted the altar, the sacrificial altar, and some of the braziers up in the front, and some of the stuff in the back here, some of the metalwork and the angels and things like that. It's a very, very cool piece to anchor your tabletop, well, at least from a kind of fictional standpoint right there. This would definitely look good on any Age of Sigmar table, or perhaps Warhammer 40k, which leads us to the next product, which is the Gothic Wall Set. Now these all range in height, but you can tell you go from like an inch right here to some of these pieces to about 2.5 right here. Again, incredibly detailed. This is a cast resin material. You can see it is very well casted, very well painted, comes pre-painted. Cost on this is only $25 for all these pieces here. Now you could use this for a lot of different things, of course, so Warhammer 40k, or you know, some of the other different types of games out there. There's 5 different varieties, like you've got this one, or 5 different poses, I guess you could say. I don't know what you call it when it comes to this. So there's those 5 right there, and then of course they're casted twice and included and painted in this for a total of 10 pieces right here. Again, it's casted resin material, and I want to say this is what, like 5 inches by, generally it's about 5 inches. That's definitely more than 4. So 5 inches by about 2.5 tall, but some of these pieces are going to be 1 inch to 1.5 inches right there. So great little piece of, or I guess great little thing to accompany perhaps your Gothic Temple right here. If you like that sort of look, you could also buy these and put them with your Gothic Ruin set as well in front of the buildings, you know, to give yourself cover and different things like that. And if you're wondering exactly how big this relates to miniatures that you might play with every day, I've recruited a couple of these fellas here to give you an idea of just how big that is. And there you can see that it definitely provides adequate amount of cover. If your rules give you cover or give you some sort of ability or save for being behind cover, I don't think that's a problem. And then on top here, plenty of room for all sorts of murdering activities around the sacrificial altar up there on top of the temple. Now next up, let's take a look at some futuristic stuff, since we got some futuristic mans right there. So next up is the industrial landing pad from Game Mat.eu. This is a fantastic piece of terrain. It doesn't look like much, but it's definitely got it where it counts as a $35 pre-painted resin cast miniature. It doesn't, it's innocuous. You're like, you know, I don't know if I want that. But check this out. You grab you a really dope flyer out of your collection that isn't, the cannons aren't falling off it, because magnetizing sometimes is a bad idea, kids. Anyways, there it is. So I've recruited a little friend right there to show you just how cool it is. And hey, look, check that out. Definitely fits on there and looks really cool. Now remember too, I said there was some industrial barricade pieces too that I didn't get, but they are just on par with the Gothic ones right here. There's 10 of them. They're $25 as well, pre-painted. They're all the same pose or variation, whatever you want to call it, I guess, when you're talking about terrain. But that is also pretty cool as well. So these, very neat stuff. And then if you're wondering how big that relates to in actual model terms, well, there you can kind of tell. Not too bad. Going to provide some sort of, I don't know, cover depending on what rules and what data sheet you might be using for whatever game you're actually playing. So that's pretty neat. $35 pre-painted to your door, plus shipping from these guys. And then last but certainly not least are the 2D terrain sets. There's at least 3 different versions of these. You've got Arctic, Sands, and Meadows as well right here. Now there's a bunch of different, I think there's 16 different little 2D flat cutouts here. Now these particular pieces of terrain obviously made for privateer or hordes. They were developed in conjunction with some of the guys over at SmogCon, which I believe was in London, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the privateer actually bought that con as well. So that's going to be the privateer's foothold into Europe. So it's really cool to kind of see all that stuff kind of come full circle and kind of, you know, all work together. So you know these are all going to be good quality. It's down to precision when it comes to games of privateer. You know, you don't want to go moving stuff because the arcs and everything are so very, very important in that game. Now, in each one of these sets, you're going to get a large and a small version of each thing. And we'll just grab, I don't know, the Meadows one right here. So you're going to get all sorts of different little pieces here. Like I said, each one is going to have a large and a small. So you got ponds. There's your big pond. There's your big fog, right? Big stone, I think this is called. Hill. Then there's walls, building, small forest, large forest, or extra large forest, extra large hill. They've got it all right here. And then I think this is the trench, I want to say. I believe these are called the trenches, and they're all the same for each one because, let's face it, you make trenches out of wood right there. So Arctic, Meadows, and then also Sands, 2D terrain, 16 pieces in each one. Great quality, very well detailed. I mean, you can see, hey look, that's forest. It's not pixelated or anything like that. They even got little rocks, little shading on the trees. You know, all of the little rocks right there. There's little moss growing in them and things. You've got the houses. They didn't just cut and paste the art right there. You've got different houses on each one. The hills also look pretty fresh. Very cool stuff there with little lichen and moss and things growing right on top of them. Now there's specific sizes, and they kind of give you a variety. Like the extra large stuff is like 12.5 by 7.5 at like its max. Some of them are 5 by 10 at their max. So it just kind of depends, but from what I understand, this all lines up with the existing stuff for the privateer game. So it shouldn't be that much of an issue or any issue at all if that's what you're, you know, picking this stuff up and intending to use it with. Again, remember, when it comes to these mats, or when it comes to this 2D terrain, just like their mats, it's not going to reflect light. It's going to have that 2mm thick grip pad on the back. It's not going to mess up your miniatures or anything like that. They shouldn't slide across it or anything like that. It's a nice soft felt. It's not going to damage anything. I mean, if you drop a miniature on a board on this, it will absorb some of the impact, but it's not going to absorb all of the impact. Here's a preview of the sands. Again, very great looking. They got palm trees in here. They didn't just skimp and say, oh, hey, we got evergreen trees in the desert. Some oasis looking kind of pond type thing right here. Some deserted oasis huts, crazy rocks. Like, this stuff just looks fresh. The fog bank, more oasis-y looking pond, some trench works, some walls, more palm trees on the extra large, bigger uninhabited huts, and another large plateau type hill right there, looking fresh. And then the very last set, and these all go for $34. Again, shipped to your door. I can't imagine the shipping's that much for something like this. It has a little bit of weight to it, but it shouldn't be too bad. There's your walls and your hedges. Very cool looking right there. Then you've got some small hill, which is going to have some breakup of some winter melt on it. A log cabin type building right there. Very cool. Fog bank, again, looking very snowy. A frozen with some little fishing holes. A frozen pond in there. A very large hill right there. Trench works, again. There's your large building, definitely a larger size, and also re-rendered fog bank, your bigger hill with a little bit of snow melt on it, your frozen pond with a few more holes in it, some pine trees with some dope looking snow on top of it right there, and your overgrown hill, or your winter pack hill right there, almost starting to melt. So that's it. Those are the new items from Gamemat.eu. A great lineup, whether it's Privateer or any of the 28mm scale tabletop miniatures games that are out there. They've got you covered for all this type of stuff. Check them out, Gamemat.eu. Of course, been dealing with them for years. Always high quality stuff. Always shipped to my door. Never had a problem with any damages, anything like that. The way they ship their stuff is on par. I've never gotten anything shipped better, to be quite honest, from overseas. I think a lot of these companies have something to learn from Gamemat.eu. So that's it. That's the new terrain, the 2D stuff, the pre-painted stuff, the Gothic ruins, the Gothic add-ons to the Gothic line, the existing Gothic line, the industrial add-ons to the existing industrial line as well. So check them out.